Good evening and welcome to our interview tonight with Cyd Hoffeld. She's a candidate for County Council District 4. Conducting our interview tonight is Antu Harvey and Gabe Katz. Before we get into the interviews, I'd like to just offer a little information about HULI PAC. We are a group of grassroots community advocates volunteering our time to HULI PAC. Many of us have witnessed during oral testimonies the problem of being the minority voice, observing seated representatives voting against the āina or the majority of testifiers. The majority rule currently allows the continuation of colonial structures, corporate rule, and methods over Ike Hawaii for āina and its people to thrive. We must collectively understand the individual power we carry as Hawai'i Island residents by getting involved. I guess our first question tonight is coming from Antu. You're muted.
You're muted, Antu.
Thank you very much. Now that I've got that out of the way. So what is this?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
That's great. So first question,
Yes.
What has inspired you to run for office this election cycle? And can you describe your values and how those values would guide you?
Thank you for that question. What inspired me to run for Hawaii County Council District 4 is that I've been really doing a lot of work in policy, in really I've sat on boards, I've done sitting on committees, and being born and raised here on the Big Island and working with the largest community health center on this island. It has really given me opportunities to be a liaison in our community to find out what kinds of issues are needing to be addressed. And I just feel like I've been doing this work, whether it's on boards, in our clinics, in community. And I feel like being on the county council would really allow me to do more work at a higher level that would be more impactful than just working for a single organization. The qualities I bring and are aloha, the aloha spirit, hard work, collaboration, and integrity is what I bring to the table, along with experience in working with many organizations here in Hawaii, on Hawai'i Island, and within the state.
Oh, thank you very much.
Great. In that vein, you mentioned sitting on a number of boards, committees, and just being involved in your community. Can you speak to some of the specific experiences you have in your career that qualify you for elected office? Specifically, relevant work experience, local government participation, community projects, and any affiliated organizations that you have worked for or otherwise affiliated with you.
Thank you. Some of the committees I've been on is that I was on the Hawaii County Committee on the Status of Women. I then became the Hawaii County Commissioner on the Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women, where I helped to champion policies like paid family leave, equal pay, Title IX, and other kinds of policies that really help and uplift our women, and which also really helps to uplift everyone. Other committees that I'm on is that currently I'm the community health worker, community health educator supervisor from our organization. I am the chair for the Hawaii Community Health Workers Association, which is a statewide coalition of community health workers and organizations that employ community health workers, which are our trusted people in the field that help connect our community to services like health, like in enrollment, into health insurance policies, into SNAP benefits, into housing, many, many different aspects of really connecting community to services that are needed. In the organization I work for, the clinic that I work for, we have brick and mortar um, clinics, but it's really when we go out into our community, into our health fairs, into our public housing, into our homeless shelters and substance abuse treatment programs, that we're really able to access people where they're at and to really help them. So I lead that association. I'm also I've been working with youth and teens for a long time, for over 26 years and more. I am currently the board chair for the Hawaii Youth Services Network, which is also a coalition of youth serving organizations in the state. And I've been connected to that organization for now at least the last 20 years and have really felt like that organization is such a strong influence on the policies that are especially related to youth and making sure that our youth are well cared for and policies are addressed that help to take care of them, like youth homelessness. Um, yeah, our LGBTQ youth, and just making sure that we have safe places when youth are in need of those kinds of spaces, when there are things going on at home or things in the community. So I am part of that. I've also been part of the Rural Health, the Hawaii State Rural Health Association, which helps to really look at provider shortage, all of the things that help our community health centers stay healthy and keep health. Those are some of the boards and commissions I've been a part of. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you for highlighting those experiences. I'll pass it up to Antu. You're still muted, Antu.
It's definitely Friday. Sorry.
Happy Aloha
So
Friday.
this might be an opportunity to build on that a bit. This is about social issues. And what do you believe is the most pressing social issue that the council will face in the next period, next session? And what are some of the ideas for solutions that you are particularly interested in pursuing?
Some of our issues, especially here in Puna, that the council will face and that we still really need to address is the infrastructure priorities that we have in the county, including roads and highways, and especially Highway 130. I think that our commuters and are really, it's a hardship for them to be on the roads for so long in the morning as we travel into Hilo, and during Pauhana time coming out. Our evacuation road is especially bad. We only have one way in and one way out, and that's not a real answer to how do we evacuate if anything should happen. And so along those lines, capital improvement funds and partnering with our state DOT, pursuing federal highway funds and FEMA grants are going to be really an important way to address some of those issues with especially our infrastructure, our road infrastructure here in Puna. I think another one is broadband for rural Puna. When our lava came to, I live down in Kalapana, so when the lava came in 2018, it destroyed a lot of our infrastructure, especially with internet connectivity. And so I think Puna has been promised internet access for years, and that would be an important piece, I think, in getting federal infrastructure funds, mapping unserved areas, and pushing for agreements that speed up the process of building the systems that we need. And like I said, I think emergency access is really an issue, making sure, especially in this area, that we have a secondary evacuation route, community emergency hubs, communication coverage in dead zone areas are huge necessity. When we learned that especially during COVID, when our kids went online, that there were lots of rural areas that couldn't access internet. So kids were left behind, really. And so making sure that we have connectivity, especially during those times when disaster hits. How do we connect? How do we communicate with each other? How do we know how our neighbors are doing and what kinds of needs are needed? What kinds of things do we need to take care of in those areas? So I think those are some of the issues. Of course, there's vacation rentals and making sure that we have access to affordable housing, and also, just making sure that we also have agriculture land to grow food on. So food sovereignty. Thank you.
Thank you.
You touched on a lot there, and we'll definitely have questions that get into some of the specifics. Really quick though, with regards to your background, you have an extensive background in harm and health disparity reduction. So kind of a general question, but feel free to answer however you please. Do you approve of how the county has addressed health and harm disparity reduction thus far? And if not, what needs to change and how do you foresee it changing?
For health disparities, really, what I feel the county has done is the county has really supported local federally qualified health centers, which is one of the is where I work. And so I believe that our boss used to be is now the mayor, and I believe that his understanding of the community health centers and our function as a safety net and how we operate is really important. I believe that not only is our mayor, does he understand the importance of community health centers like ours, the governor also was a provider of ours in Ka'u. So he has a greater, so I think statewide and countywide, I believe they have a really good understanding of how FQHCs, federally qualified health centers, really catch and hold the community in its healthcare, whether it's medical care, dental care, behavioral health, whether it's women's health, pediatrics. I think they support us well. What we need more support on is really provider shortage. How do we get more providers into our state? How do we get them to participate in community health centers like ours and in other community health centers? How do we either get them to come here, or how do we build our community to then become providers in the future, which is really, that's the pipeline and that's the answer. I've worked for our community health center for, this is my 26th year, and I've seen the way our providers come into our clinics and have, they do great care. They provide great services to our community. And because they are often not from here, we see them leave to go back home, to take care of parents, to be with family members that aren't from the state. And so I think the answer for that is really growing our own. And I provide health education in schools. So I see the pipelines in schools of schools creating health and wellness tracks to make sure that their kids that we grow our own, and that our kids have the ability to experience what it's like to be a healthcare provider or a healthcare, what healthcare is like. We as a clinic are helping to nurture that pipeline by inviting youth to engage in our clinics, into looking at the different kinds of work opportunities there are here. But I see schools doing all kinds of career pathways. And so I really believe that growing our own in every sector of our community is going to be an important way to keep kids here, to create opportunities for our youth to live and work here in Hawaii, where they have their roots. And so, thank you for that question.
Thank you for that answer.
we're going to be pivoting around and then circling back several times. So this one's about food security and agriculture. Most residents rely on imported foods to meet the weekly needs. I just saw a Civil Beat article about Molokai. Young brothers missed their last two barges. Ah,
I
so
know.
are there any agriculture or food security projects that are working in your district? And how do you think that those models might be able to scale and mitigate dependence on imports?
Well, as you know, and as we all know, I think throughout the state, that Hawai'i Island has one of the best agricultural foundations in the state. We are really, especially here in the Puna area, we have farms that are, not only help our chickens grow and egg production. We have cattle out here. We have really boutique kinds of farmers like cacao, coffee. We do definitely have always had a robust floral farming industry here. Papaya, we are doing really quite well. As long as we can continue sustaining those farms, as long as we can uh, provide opportunities to help them grow, I think we will continue doing really well here in Hawaii. And we do export quite a few papayas, our cacao, our vanilla farms are one of the only commercial vanilla farms in the United States. As you said, Molokai, when Young Brothers didn't come twice, their shelves are empty, their food supplies are barren. And so how do we continue growing our agriculture and our farmers and supporting them to make sure that when the boats don't come because of fuel or whatever, or you know uh, world events, I think really part of that is going to be making sure that we support them with grants, that we support them with infrastructure like cold storage, like processing plants that maybe a single farm couldn't afford to have. But if we do it on a larger scale, that they can bring their produce to those processing plants so that they can bring their produce and the things that they grow and raise have some kind of cold storage that all of them can share in. Uh, so really, I think we have opportunities for grants that can help to fund that, to really look at what the needs are of our farmers here. And so one of the things that I want to do, especially if I am elected, is to go around and really talk to our farmers, ask them what their needs are, see what our assets are, see where our deficiencies are, and maybe our gaps are, so that we can help to look for those kinds of answers, for that money, for the infrastructure to help, or those spaces to build infrastructure, or to see what kinds of infrastructure already exists to bring those farmers together in hulis to help really strengthen our agriculture and farm industry here on our island. I think our farmers markets are great places for them to bring their produce to market, to sell for a revenue. So I think really supporting that as well is going to be a really important piece. And so, yeah, I just think we are really fortunate to have all of the farms and the agriculture that we currently have. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know Jeff cited you as reaching your time with the question. We have a few, or I think one other question on food sovereignty, some of the specifics. So I'd definitely be curious to hear more on your answer there. But changing topics again on the issue of climate resilience. We've spoken to aspects of this already in a previous answer, but Hawai'i Island faces increasing risks from wildfires, flooding, sea level rise, hurricanes, and drought. You've already mentioned internet connectivity and improved evacuation routes as viable solutions to some of these. A particular issue in rural parts of your district, District 4, is water scarcity in times of drought, with many residents relying on catchment for their potable water and agricultural needs. How should the issue of water access be addressed in your district?
Well, that's definitely a concern. I myself am on a water catchment system, right? Like many of our people, and I see people at the spigots who don't have the opportunity or the availability of having large tanks to catch that and support their homes with that water. So continuing to make sure that I believe, that those water spigots are available, that you know, we really need to help build more infrastructure and to make water um, available for our communities. One of the things that I was looking at and I've been looking at as far as, and this is like cesspool conversion, and really looking at the county and looking to see how can the county help with that, right? With mass purchasing uh, of cesspool or conversion tanks for the community so that we can keep costs down. But I also believe that maybe we could do something with like that for water catchment, so that our families can have those as well. Working with people like Tito's to really to see how can we make having catchment systems or catchment tanks affordable, because they cost so much. And not only are we looking at the affordability of a catchment tank or a catchment system, we're also looking at how do you keep them clean? How do we keep our citizens and our populations from contracting rat lungworm disease, from leptospirosis? And so it's really looking at what kinds of resources are available out there right now, and how can we capitalize on those resources? How do we partner with other organizations and look at the funding for making sure that the people in our community really do have access to water, which is so important to their health and their well-being, not only for consumption, but for washing dishes, washing clothes, taking showers, just keeping overall health. And so looking at that and looking at grants and funds and partnering with the county to maybe do larger purchasing so that we can make sure that people are getting that equipment at reasonable pricing, and being able to work with vendors to make sure that they're installed properly and maintained as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Affordable housing. Currently, there are new regulations in the works at both the state and the county level to address some of the diversion of our dwellings for commercial purposes. And what is your view on legislation of short-term rentals that are not owner-hosted as it stands now, and what would you like to see in the future?
I really feel like owner hosted properties, as long as they are registered and they're paying their taxes and they're being good neighbors, can be really excellent ways for our populations, our communities, our neighbors to offset the price of the cost of living in paradise. Right? It is so expensive here, for kupuna to everyone. So hosted short-term rentals, I believe, are good. I feel like when people are purchasing investment properties and they are not residents of the state of Hawaii, that they should be paying business taxes on there, because it is a business for them. It is a revenue generating operation. And I believe that when they have those kinds of businesses, they should be paying business type taxes. They should be making sure that the business that they're paying their fair share of commercial property taxes. I would like to support a surcharge on vacation rental properties, with the revenue going to affordable housing. So I think that will help to offset the price and to really put a cap on where we have uh, housing shortages, so that we can make sure that we are not allowing too many short-term rentals in places where people can live and afford the rent and living. So putting a cap really on where we can have those short-term rentals is going to be an important piece as well. But also making sure that revenue goes towards affordable housing. With those revenues made, those commercial property taxes and those surcharges are going towards affordable housing. Yeah.
Thank you. I have a question here on community accountability. First off, how important is community feedback and responsiveness on your end to you? And if elected, how do you plan to make yourself available to your constituents to receive that feedback and similarly enact it in a tangible way for them?
I really do believe in listening sessions and going out into the community. And whenever so sorry about that. So I love going out to talk to town halls and community listening sessions. When Mayor Alameda comes out to Puna, I like to go to hear what he is working on, what his staff, what I think is really fabulous about him is that he comes with everybody in his committee on his staff. Because they're the ones that are working on the topics. When people in our community are having issues in their community and are concerned and bringing their concerns to their community leaders, their political leadership, I believe that it's important for the people who are in those offices or in those departments are able to answer those questions directly and that they have that information. I would also like to be part of that listening and those listening tours. And I will schedule, definitely, going out to each of our communities, whether it's HPP, Hawaiian Beaches, Kapoho, Leilani, Nanavale, Seaview, Kalapana, all of those areas, Pohoa, all of those areas need the opportunity to have and see their politicians, to see the people who are there to serve them, and to hear what their concerns are. And so I plan to be in those communities, to attend their community meetings, to attend their community watch groups, to hear what they have to say and to hear really and to have them share with me what kinds of issues are they having to deal with? What's working though too? I really want to know what's working, what's not working. Where are your strengths, and where are the places that I can help you with the resources that I will have access to. So I definitely want to do that. I definitely want to hear what they need and what they do really well, so that we can capitalize on that. I am a total strength-based kind of person. I want to know what are your strengths and how can we multiply those? What are the things that you're having difficulty with, and how can I help strengthen those for you with the resources and opportunities and abilities and grants and connections that I have? How can we do that to make a stronger, more vibrant community throughout our District 4? Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Kind of land use and repurposing and development. Currently, we have a growing population of residents and a similarly growing demand for food to feed them. Efforts are being made to create sustainable food economies here to lessen dependence on imported foods. However, viable land for agriculture is kind of limited, and especially in Puna, where most everything is like ag lots. With the development, how do you support allowing subdivision and development on ag zoned parcels? And how should it be allocated to support both growing populations of residents, as well as being able to keep āina to be able to provide food?
Yeah, because that's really important. Puna is a high agriculture, high production kind of area. And so making sure that we maintain the land in order to stay agriculture is going to be really an important piece. I think part of that is going to be really kind of looking and taking stock of short-term rental properties as well. So to kind of look at where are our housing shortages, how can we look at the vacation rental, I guess, landscape and group of houses? How can we change those into places that people can rent and use? Because really, that's going to be part of it too. Building more houses and providing that opportunity is good, but not at the cost of our taking away our best agricultural lands that really are going to feed the populations. So looking at the balance and looking to see how can we maybe limit the purchasing of land that is agricultural land. How can we keep the zoning of ag in ag zoning, and how can we, yeah, because really that's going to be what helps to sustain our agriculture, is putting limits on that conversion from agriculture to residential. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You kind of touched on it a bit on the end with regards to, community concerns and allocating land. This is a question more to do with your personal beliefs in this issue. When a developer comes to you with a project that promises jobs and tax revenue, but community members raise concerns like its environmental impact, strain on infrastructure such as construction zones affecting their commutes, or even cultural disregard, how do you decide on progressing with that project or not? Should community consent be a requirement on new developments?
I think yes, because community, they're going to be living with the infrastructure of whatever is being developed. We all are going to be living with any kind of traffic or increase in people or populations coming into our community, even if it's just to work for the day. I mean, because we are in that traffic day in and day out. But we also are looking at our resources. We are looking at our water, our electricity. We're looking at all of those things. And when big development comes in and says they're going to be providing jobs, how long are those jobs for? Is it just for construction, or is it just, and then they're not going to be any jobs after that? And then all we're going to be doing is really extracting resources from our community. I think we really have to look at that. And when community speaks, it's important for us to listen to those concerns, because we will be here as a Kanaka Maoli, as a Kanaka Oiwi. We're looking 7 generations into the future. So as we look 7 generations into the future, how do these things that are maybe short term impact our long term lives? And so making sure that the community has input on that community is listened to, and not just for these like 3-minute, 5-minute listening sessions where it's like you barely get to say really what is happening before your time is up. And really they get to check off, we had a community meeting. We really need to make sure that those community meetings are meaningful, and that the feedback that are given to developers or whoever comes into our community that wants to do something that maybe is harmful, like you said, or that have long-term effects for us. We really need to make sure that our community is included in those conversations and those discussions and those decisions, because it's us and our community that's really going to be living with that day in and day out. So, yeah. So thank you for that question.
I want to just briefly kind of add on to that question, which is, when it comes time for bills to pass or larger, more legislative issues that come up, there are public testimonies and hearings that happen. But with regards to new developments, if someone wants to put up a mall up, a road or what have you, I don't know if that's necessarily automatically gonna create a hearing. So my question to you is, how would you foster receiving feedback from that community to gauge their consent? on these developments.
Could you rephrase or just say that question again?
Sure, I can make it more concise. You mentioned having like listening sessions.
Yeah.
How would you prompt that? Would it be a formal testimonial setting? Would it be via Zoom like this? Just what would that look like?
I think the opportunity to make it hybrid is going to be really important, whether it's in the community and people being able to come into it. If it's going to be something at the county council where people can Zoom in, can go to our local county council sites to come and talk and share what's going on, I think that's going to be really important. If they can come in person and discuss that, I think that providing those opportunities, fostering those opportunities, even maybe requiring those opportunities when able to, is going to be a really important piece. Transportation in the Puna area can be really difficult and challenging for people to get to places. So I think having the opportunity to Zoom in and to have a hybrid kind of encounter is going to be a really important piece. Yeah, and way of communicating.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for dealing with the complexities of that question. Just was curious to hear your thoughts on that. I appreciate it.
Here's swinging in a real different direction. There's several contenders in the race for Council District 4. How have you been able to make your campaign viable and your platform accessible to your constituents?
I have some really great people that are running in this, especially District 4. I mean, they have so much aloha, and they have a lot of experience in campaigning. I am not a politician. I am not good at the formal sense of campaigning. However, I am learning, and I am trying to get my name out, to get my message out. And I think opportunities like this really help me. And I really thank you for that opportunity, because I believe that for candidates like myself who don't have the experience of being a politician and working in politics, it can be really hard to navigate those spaces and places. However, I believe that when we have these opportunities in these wider forums and these interviews that get posted in places like, I don't have Facebook, I don't do social media, I really don't. I think it's really because I don't have the time to do that. But I believe that really it's going to be important for me to make the time if I'm elected, because people are on social media, people are accessing information in places that I don't usually go to. And, with the help of younger people, with the help of younger staff that are about social media and these kinds of ways of communicating broadly, I think that's really important. And so I'm hoping through opportunities like this evening, with speaking with you and sharing my thoughts and my priorities and the way that I hope to meet those challenges that are in our communities. I'm hoping that this and other opportunities like this will give me a broader exposure to people who will, get out and vote, because I really believe power is in your voice and in your ballot, and people have power to make changes, really important changes that affect all of us. And we do that with our vote. So if you are listening to this and you have not register to vote, make sure that you get those ballots out. You get those ballots to you, you do your voting and your civic duty, and you get your voices heard, because it's super important. We cannot let other people speak for us. We need to really meet our civic duties. It is part of us being citizens of this community to really speak and put your vote out. And so having opportunities like this for me to share my platform and what I truly believe, I think is really helpful. So thank you for letting me be part of this.
Well, that's great. And as you say, voting is so important, and especially at the local level, right? because we have more, say, flexibility. We can know our council people. So it's really valuable.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
I know, just to add on to that, I love Hawaii. I love that we can see and talk and meet so casually with our lawmakers, with our county council members, with our mayor, with our with our senators, with our representatives. I love that about us. And so, yeah, definitely.
Great. Thank
Love
you.
it. Love here. Love us.
You've set us up really amazingly for this next question by complete coincidence. But my next question is on government transparency and public inclusion. We've talked about, or you've talked about rather, listening sessions in community hubs and the need for community consent on decision-making processes. There are, however, times where something is not so explicit, such as a budgetary decision, maybe not to do explicitly with a new development, but just allocating funds within the county budget. So I could envision your answer already being listening sessions, but I want to hear from you. What steps would you take to make the county budget easier for residents to understand, A, and B, monitor?
Yeah, I think that making that budget information and those reports more easily understandable is going to be definitely one of my goals, is to really, how do you make it so that people understand it and it's not so confusing? Because you know what, it shouldn't be confusing. We should look at that and be able to see it in plain language, what is happening to our money, where it's being allocated for, what is being done. And transparency is super important, but transparency is also the way we present that information in ways that people can understand it, digest it, question it, and come back with either that's awesome, or I don't really understand it, I don't really like it, maybe the way things are being budgeted, but I understand it. And I remember going to one of Mayor Alameda's listening sessions in Puna, and he was, people were really sharing what they wanted to see in our community, and it really had to do with money and resources. And so his explanation too was that if we're taking away from here to put it here, then we're not having, what do we do about that? So I also understand that there are going to be prioritizing of how we spend our money, and that people may not like it. But also, if we can understand it and we can know that we are looking at the larger picture and the larger priorities, and that we can make it understandable for people to at least kind of question it, or understand it, I think that's going to be really one of the goals that I hope to bring forward, is that transparency, is that easy language that we can digest and understand. And so, yeah, I definitely think we need to do that. We need to make it understandable and in plain language so people can understand it.
I like that you highlighted the plain language part. I've often said that the mark of a good teacher is explaining something that conceptually is very difficult in simple terms, in layman's terms. So I appreciate that perspective. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't help but tag on one thing about my immense frustration about our general plan. And it's the first jurisdiction I've ever seen that doesn't have a roadmap of what we need to do over extended periods of time across administrations, and that has to be carried forward so that people could see, if they could see visualization of the budget, and then performance reports. And the fact that there's effectively no accountability with the general plan, that just is kind of vision statements. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a quick comment about that. Because that's in the process,
yeah,
right?
and it was such a long process that started so long ago. So how do we bring what was happening then to be more relevant today? And then how do we look at it and not look at vision statements or these vague descriptions of, I don't know how they're going to put it into practical use or how it's going to be done practically. But we need to definitely do that. And I know that some of our county council members voted against it. And, you
That's a
know,
good thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I do have one about houselessness, because I'm sure with your work, you're keenly aware of the problems and the complexities with that. So many Hawaii Island residents list houselessness as a major concern. How would you address this at the county level?
You know, as the community health worker supervisor here at our health center, we do street medicine, we do street outreach, we help people where they're at. Our providers go out on the street and we do care out in where we see our patients and our community members. We hope to, we it is an issue, and really it's an issue of housing as well, right? It's an issue of housing. It's housing affordability. It's about mental health care. It's about general health. It's we are taking our medication out to our patients on the street, medication that sometimes needs refrigeration. So how do we get people in homes that are, or houses that are affordable and secure and that they can live in and be safe? We have behavioral health and specialists in all of our clinics. So we have the ability to see them and take care of their mental health needs. There are also, the state has some wonderful departments of mental health. And so, you know, working together, working with organizations like Hope Services, like Vibrant Hawaii, like even Salvation Army for our youth, just making sure. I'm all about collaboration. I'm all about partnerships. I'm all about really working with the organizations that already are doing the work and making sure that we continue to fund those organizations to keep them strong, to have, I know that we meet. I'm part of the Going Home Health and Wellness committee. So I see and help people transitioning out of incarceration back into our community. And so all of that, making sure that we have those safety nets intact to make sure that we're catching people. And really we need to really look upstream. How do we stop people from going downstream, right? It's really an upstream kind of access of looking at, we know the symptoms. That's homelessness, that's mental health, that's people not being able to pay rent, to take care of their families in ways that they should be able to take care of them in a community like ours. So really looking upstream at how do we catch that? How do we prevent those things from happening? Because prevention is really going to be better than the medication to take care of the symptoms of what's happening. And so coming from that healthcare perspective, homelessness is about health and wellness, mental health, emotional, physical health and well-being. And so looking at working with our partners, looking at what kinds of resources we have out there to help our people is going to be really one of the things. And how do we keep them housed too? How do we keep things affordable? Because really, solar energy costs are so crazy. The cost of rent, you know, so really looking at that is going to be an important piece as well. So upstream looking, and then helping through prevention and partnerships is what I will bring, because I do have a lot of partners. I do have a lot of community members that I work with currently and continue to hope working with, not only community partners, but political partners. I really believe that all of us together, I mean, this is a kako thing. We are here together to strengthen together, and we are stronger together. So, yeah, so we can do this.
We have time for a couple more questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Uh, I'll try and keep this brief, but I just want to quickly touch on economy because I feel like we haven't gotten an explicit question yet on that. So, due to our economic reliance on tourism, we see many residents in District 4 commute to tourist hubs like Kona and Hilo Town to work. In addition to lacking public transit for these commuters, this highlights the larger issue of overdependence on tourism for local jobs. So, how do you see our economy moving away from a reliance on tourism? What industries within your district do you feel we need to further support to develop a more circular economy? And how would you support those industries?
Yeah, the tourist industry. I mean, COVID really taught us that when boats, tourists stop coming and us being relying on tourism as our number one economic driver is really crazy. So diversification is the answer, right? And I think here in Puna, with our agriculture and really uplifting and making farming more accessible and supported, I think is going to be one of the things that we can do. I know that in different schools, like I said, there's health and wellness, there's business and industry. I think really bringing our farmers into our schools to teach our kids that this is another viable industry and career that they can get into, because there's a lot more than just digging up dirt and putting plants in. I mean, there's a science of agriculture. There's the sales of agriculture and marketing of agriculture. There's so many different aspects that our youth can get into that really can support agriculture as one of the industries that we can support besides tourism. And then there's aquaculture. Is the healthcare field. There's, for me, it's really being able to, the answer for that is really being able to provide opportunities, trainings for not only our youth so that they can stay and live and work here, but also for our businesses. Our businesses need workers. And I think that don't only depend on tourism coming in to support them. So I just really believe that if we can grow our own, if we can provide opportunities for our kids to see that that they can not only live here but have good living wages and good jobs and opportunities here, is going to be really an important piece. Yeah.
No, that was
The next question.
topic area. So thank you for that answer.
So this is one of those things of a wonderful exercise of looking backwards. So if you're elected and serving, what outcomes would you like to have your constituents be able to look back on about your accomplishments and how you've influenced some good changes?
Nice. Well, I'd like our people to have, one of the things that I feel like would help with the traffic and the commute, right, is to really have the Helion bus have a better bus schedule. I remember when our gas prices went up, and this was almost 10, 15 years ago. And I was going to boycott driving. I really was like, I'm not going to drive. I'm going to take public transportation to work. And then, and then I waited at the bus stop. It was supposed to be there at 9. And either I was too late or I was too early or something. I don't know what happened. But really making our Helion bus schedules reliable enough to allow people who live in our communities to be able to take public transportation to work and from work, I think will really help minimize traffic in the streets. And so I think at the end of, at least the first term, is really a noticeable change in our traffic and congestion on the roads. I think another thing that I would like is transparency. Like like Gabriel and I were talking about, really plain language in reports, especially financial reports, and what's happening in our community, or the reports that are coming out generated by our government, which is us. How can we make that so that people understand it? So I think a second one would be making sure that when reports are done, they're done in plain language that's understandable. For me, another thing, of course, is going on those listening tours and really listening to our community to find out what are the issues that are important to them. What can I do to help? And hopefully, at the end of my term, to meet a lot of those goals that we talked about, and a lot of those issues that we've met them or addressed them, or that they're on their way to being addressed. So, there are many things that I hope to accomplish. Connectivity in our communities for internet, for communication, is another one. So there are a lot of needs that we have, and so I'm hoping that that with the connections I have, the the resources that I know I will also have, with the partnerships of our community, and and just the voice of the people, and just the participation of our community members, that we will accomplish at least some things that are meaningful, that help them have better lives, that make their lives a little easier, that help bring families together, that really bring community together. And so I'm hoping that at the end, when when I can look back and I say.
I have one last question before we close out. You've spoken about a lot of different infrastructure projects, which are vital to the community, but all too often we have out-of-state investors that are bringing in these large-scale projects that really don't mesh with what the community has in mind as far as development. It creates problems with cultural issues and environmental issues. What ideas do you have on trying to balance that out for the community, for your community?
Well, I really believe that the only pathway forward to engaging in real, genuine shared decision making is to make sure that the community, that Native Hawaiians, Kanaka Maoli, are part of the conversation. That it is really a decision that we're making together. It doesn't. My thought is that it doesn't matter how much money is being thrown at a project. We really need to make sure that it's environmentally sound and safe for our communities, that it's not taking up vital resources that our communities would otherwise be able to use more, like agriculture land, like our forests, that it's not a short term kind of thing, because we are looking 7 generations into the future. We don't want to be, looking at old infrastructure that's decaying, that are on what would have been prime land to grow things on, to have other things that our community would better sustain our communities. So we really need to make sure that community voices are heard, that we as politicians, or the political action towards those decisions, are really looking at our people, and looking at the long-term effects of how these development projects or ideas impact the greater good of our community. So, and that really is by listening to our community, listening to our Kanaka Maoli, looking at 7 generations into the future, and how these projects are going to impact us long term, not short term, not for money, not because people are throwing money at it, but for really the greater good, because that's what I'm here for, is the greater good. And I feel like I've been doing that for the last more than 40 years, is looking to make sure that I help to create a better place for us.
Thank you, Cyd Hoffeld, for joining us tonight. Cyd is a candidate for County Council District 4, and thank you so much, Antu and Gabe, for coming in and doing this interview at the last minute. I really appreciate it. And I want to reiterate what Cyd spoke of earlier, and that you have the power. Please discuss these issues with your friends and family and get out there and vote. It's incredible how just a few votes can make a difference. And I encourage everybody to please vote. Before we close out, I wanted to say that HULI PAC was born from a shared drive to rework our system by seeking indigenously, progressive-minded, āina-based, equity-focused leadership for our Hawai'i Island community. Now more than ever, we need leaders who are willing to circle back to our roots and instill real change to regenerate and transform our Hawai'i Island community. For more information, please check out our website, hulihi.com. That's HULIHI.com. Thanks again, and everybody have a great weekend.
Yeah. Aloha. Thank you so much. Get out and vote.
At HULI PAC, we envision a future in which our Hawai'i Island community is empowered to elect pono leaders, nurture our relationship with āina, and inspire environmental, social, and economic well-being.
Our mission is to endorse and support candidates and office holders of integrity who serve āina and the people of Hawai'i Island. We do this by interviewing, researching, and ultimately vetting candidates and incumbents who are running for local office.
All of our interviews are streamed live so that you have the power to make decisions off of substance rather than a familiar face or a name. We must move forward and encourage voting based on righteous qualifications and a backbone to stand up for what is pono.